Before execution, it is usually customary for condemned criminals to take the stage one last time and address the public with his or her final words, whether it is a chilling statement aimed at shocking or upsetting those in attendance, a light-hearted statement that attempts that get few chuckles, or a final slap in the face of society. Criminals throughout the years have had some pretty interesting things to say in the minutes prior to taking their final breaths. Here are the last words of 13 death row prisoners and the disturbing messages they chose to leave the world. Number 13. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was convicted of the rape and murder of 33 men between 1972 and his arrest in 1978. The former children's party entertainer became known as the Killer Clown because of all the parties he attended in his clown suit and full face makeup. Gacy was executed by lethal injection after midnight on May 10, 1994. When asked if he had any last words, Gacy is said to have snapped these three simple words: "Kiss my ass." Number 12. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos, abandoned by her parents at a young age, was working as a prostitute and robbing people to support herself by the time she became a teenager. In 1989 and 1990, Wuornos shot, killed and robbed at least 6 men. Arrested and tried in 1991, she received a total of 6 death sentences, earning her the inaccurate label by the press of being the first female serial killer. Her last words are, "I'd just like to say I'm sailing with the rock, and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus June 6, like the movie Big Mothership and all, I'll be back." Number 11. George Apple. Clearly keeping his sense of humor right until the last moment. This pun was to be the final words of the convict murderer George Apple before he was executed in the electric chair in New York in 1928 for the murder of a New York City police officer. His last words were, "Well, gentlemen, you are about to see a big apple." Number 10. Peter Curtin. Peter Curtin's last words were, "Tell me, after my head has been chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be a pleasure to end all pleasures." Peter Curtin, or more commonly known as the Vampire of Dusseldorf, is believed to have killed nearly 60 people in Germany. He beat, raped, and drank the blood of at least one of his victims. Curtin was executed by guillotine on July 2, 1931. Number 9. John Spankerling. John Spankerling's last words were, "Capital punishment. Them without the capital get the punishment." John Spankerling was a drifter convicted of killing a traveling companion, which he claimed was done in self-defense. Incidentally, he was also the first man to be put to death in Florida after the U.S. Supreme Court reinstated capital punishment in 1976. Number 8. Barbara "Bloody Babs" Graham. Graham's last words were, "Good people are always so sure they are right." Barbara "Bloody Babs" Graham was a prostitute, drug addict, and a murderess who was executed in the gas chamber at Saint Quentin in 1955, along with 2 accomplices. Graham beat an elderly woman to death, then a robbery went bad. When she was strapped into the death chamber by Joe Ferrati, the man in charge of her execution, he told her, "Now take a deep breath and it won't bother you," to which she responded, "How would you now?" Number 7. Gary Gilmore. Gilmore's last words were, "Let's do it." Convicted of killing a motel manager, Gary Gilmore was put to death in Utah on January 17, 1977 by a volunteer firing squad. He became the first person to be executed after the U.S. reinstated the death penalty in 1976, ending a 10-year lapse. Gilmore donated his organs, and shortly after he was executed, two people received his corneas. Notably, Gilmore gained further fame posthumously when advertising executive Dan Whedon credited Gilmore's parting words as the inspiration of Nike's tagline. Number 6. Karl Panzram. Panzram's last words, "In my lifetime, I have murdered 21 human beings. I have committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, larcenies, arsons, and last but not least, I have committed sodomy on more than 1,000 male human beings. For all these things, I am not in the least bit sorry." Karl Panzram was a serial killer, rapist, arsonist, and burglar who was hanged on September 5, 1930. Without ever showing any sign of remorse for his crimes, he refused to appeal his sentence. He even threatened to kill members of human rights groups who attempted to appeal on his behalf. Defiant until the end, Panzram went on to tell his own executioner, "Hurry up, you Hoosier bastard. I could hang a dozen men while you're screwing around." Number 5. Timothy McVeigh. McVeigh's last words were, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." Timothy McVeigh is best known as the Oklahoma City bomber and was convicted of setting the bomb which killed 149 adults and 19 children at the Federal Building of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, on April 19, 1995. McVeigh had no final words before being executed by lethal injection on June 11, 2001 in Indiana, although he did leave a handwritten statement quoting the last lines of the poem called Invictus by Sir William Ernest Henley. Number 4. James French. French last words. How does this for a headline? French fries. James James French was the last person to be executed by electric chair under Oklahoma death penalty on August 10, 1966. Already in prison for life but allegedly afraid to commit suicide, French murdered his cellmate apparently to compel the state to execute him. Number 3. Thomas J. Grasso. Grasso's last words, "I did not get my spaghettios, I got spaghetti." I want the press to know this. Thomas J. Grasso was executed by lethal injection in Oklahoma for strangling 87-year-old woman to death on Christmas Eve with her own Christmas lights while stealing a television and $12. In the US, prisoners on death row are traditionally allowed anything they would like to eat for their last meal before they are executed. Grasso took this right very seriously. His last meal request was 2 dozen steamed mussels, 2 dozen steamed clams flavored by a wedge of lemon, a double cheeseburger from Burger King, a half-dozen barbecued spare ribs, 2 strawberry milkshakes, one half of a pumpkin pie with whipped cream, diced strawberries, and a 16-ounce canned spaghettios with meatballs, served at room temperature. Unfortunately for him, the length or complexity of his list seemed to confuse kitchen staff, who made one crucial error. era and serve him spaghetti instead of spaghettios. Number 2. Robert Alton Harris. Harris' last words were, "You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper." Robert Alton Harris was responsible for the murder of two teenage boys in 1992. He was the first person to be executed in the state of California in decades. His last words were a misquote from the film Bill and Ted's Boulder's Journey. Number 1. Tom Blackjack Ketchum. Ketchum's last words were, "I'll be in hell before you start breakfast, boys. Let her rip." Tom Blackjack Ketchum, the infamous outlaw, was finally caught after a failed train robbery. Sentenced to hang, Ketchum uttered these now famous words before his execution was horribly botched, and the noose cut his head clean off his body. So this is the end of today's video, and we hope you guys enjoy it. And purchase our new singles that is down in the description box below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.